Hello again. So, I don't know how relevant or irrelevant this is to the reason why I'm scared of using memory palace as a memory technique, but basically, I read this story, or actually listened to the audio version of this story, written by a very famous Chinese children book writer. It's called Rubik's Cube Skyscraper, maybe? I don't know the actual English name, but so I don't remember what the story is about, but basically there's this building that's called the Rubik's Cube skyscraper. So when you go in there and you go to a certain floor, and then you try to go back to the floor you were in, you won't be at the same place. So does that make sense? Like, okay, so if you go up to, for example, fifth floor, and you go to 10th floor next, and then you go back to 5th floor, you won't be at the same place as the place you were in before you went to 10th floor, right? It'll be another place. um this is not even like the key point of the story. This is just like some weird story lore that the story has. Anyways, when I was younger, like ever since I've listened to that story, probably not long since I've listened to the story, not long after I've listened to the story, since then, till like maybe a few years ago, I am very terrified of that concept. It's hard for me to understand, or it's hard for me to explain it to y'all in a way that makes sense because this is probably just irrational fear. But for a very long time, sometimes when I go into a building, because there's a lot of buildings in China, not so much here where I live right now. So every time I go into a building that has an elevator, or with stairs, maybe I don't remember, but multi-story building, I will have this irrational fear that I won't be able to return to or go to where I want to go because the floors might change. You know what I'm talking about? It's like Harry Potter. Like you go from this corridor to the other corridor via the stairs, and then when you try to go back, there's no stair anymore. You can't go. You just have to go the other way. That's kind of how that works in the story, except you don't see that it's changing. You just see that you're at a different space. Like you can't control where you'll be if you decided to change floor. Which that concept for some weird reason is very scary. It's very scary. I didn't overcome that fear. I kind of just forgot about it because there's not a lot of multi-story buildings here. But because of this memory palace thing, I don't know why, but I was reminded of this Rubik's Cube skyscraper, and then I remembered the fear. I was like, oh, does that have something to do with memory palace? Because okay, so you know how I said that I don't want to use any places that I've been to, imaginary or not, um, as my memory palace. So I was like, why don't I just make up a new one in my head? So I tried to do that, and it was really uncomfortable and really scary and really sad for whatever reason. Like it's just like the emotion, fears, sadness, things like that, and or loneliness. It doesn't even make sense at all. I try to like build up an actual physical imaginary space in my head. You know what I'm talking about, right? Um, but the first thing I saw is it's like me here, and then and that doesn't make sense to you. It's like me, and then there's like really like old style, like gothic kind of, maybe not, castle, and in really far away, and it's really dark, and I'm walking alone in this very 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 long path to go there, and then that's like the image that came to mind when I like tried to make up a memory palace. But then I don't know what's scary about that picture. Nothing scary or sad or lonely about that picture. I was just scared. So I was like, nope, I am not doing that. So yeah, I guess I just can't use it until I overcome my fear. Or I can take an object and make it my memory palace. But I don't think it's gonna work though, because that's not how memory palace works. You have to actually like imagine things happening. You can't imagine things happening in specific parts of your cup. That doesn't make sense. I mean, you can, but it'll be really hard. Anyways, I'll see you later. Thank you for listening to my nonsense. Bye.